Hey guys, welcome to our review of the Ooni Fyra 12 portable pizza oven. This has been one of the revelations of the last year for us, ideal for get-togethers with friends outdoors. They add some flavor to those moments around the fire. We've used it a ton, but that doesn't mean that it's perfect. There are some things that don't always quite work as advertised. So let's go over our experiences, show you some of the do's and don'ts, and some stuff that you may want to know if you're considering buying one. First question, what is so special about this? Why buy something like this when you have a perfectly good oven in your kitchen? Well, the answer is heat. With few exceptions, normal ovens max out at 250 degrees, that's about 480 Fahrenheit. This little thing goes up to 500 degrees, which means that you can make real Napoleon style pizza in just over a minute. And really, this has been the thing that blows people's minds when they see it in action. Shoving a pizza in there, waiting a mere 30 seconds, turning it around, waiting another 30 seconds, and boom, you could have made a pizza in less than the time that it took you to watch this video up to this point. Aside from the speed, what makes this special is the fact that you get to eat pizza straight out of the oven. And the feedback I've gotten from the pizza has been overwhelmingly positive. A lot of friends have asked if they could borrow it and try it for themselves, and I'm pretty sure that has very little to do with my culinary skills. We just followed the basic recipe in Ooni's booklet, added some homemade tomato sauce with onion and garlic, and all the other ingredients were just simple supermarket stuff, nothing too fancy. And I have had my share of misshaped and burnt pizzas. The taste has never been the problem. Just the mere fact that you can eat it straight out of the oven, I think is real key here. And I reckon it's a bit like bread. Even a very average baker's bread will taste amazing right out of the oven. Some other advantages. This works very well as a group activity with or without kids. You can have everyone make their own pizza, have someone keep an eye on the temperature, someone else can specialize in turning the pizza or cutting slices. It's just a fun process, a great thing to do as friends or as a family. Advantage number 2, this is super portable for a pizza oven. And I know that sounds a little like it's very smooth for sandpaper, but it is true. It's not something that I'd want to carry up a mountain, but across a campsite or a beach in search of a perfect spot, no problem. And that means it's also a good fit for camping. It is a great way to upgrade your camper van experience. It really is pretty versatile. It's also less work to clean than, say, a barbecue. First couple of times, we didn't always use enough flour, and we had some stuff sticking to the baking stone, but if you're careful not to do that, then it's almost as easy as emptying out the pellet tray and brushing out the inside. Disassembling everything is pretty easy, but it's best to use gloves because keeping your hands clean while doing so can be a bit tricky. A couple of disadvantages. Since the heat comes from the back of the oven, you have to turn the pizza around when it's halfway done. And you've definitely seen movies or commercials where people do that in one nice movement with one of these long pizza peels, but you don't have room inside the fire to do that. So you have to take it out, turn it manually, and put it back. It's not a big issue, just a fact of life with these smaller models. The second disadvantage is also a feature really, I suppose, in some situations. It's the fact that the fire is quite well insulated and doesn't get hot, especially in the beginning. And that's great from a efficiency and safety standpoint, but when I bought this, I had dreams of it replacing a fire pit on a cold night, standing around the pizza oven, keeping warm and making delicious food at the same time. It sounds great, but it doesn't work because the heat mostly stays on the inside. The last disadvantage, and much more important than those first two, is heat management. Because the fire only runs on pellets. There is no gas conversion kit like some of the bigger models. So if you think you might prefer gas in the future, an oven like the bigger and heavier Ooni Fyra 12 might be a better option. I talk about cooking with the fire as an activity, as an experience, but of course you don't always want that. Sometimes you just want to eat. And in those situations, I'm guessing gas will be more straightforward and easier to light and then do something else while it is heating up. Because the pellets do need some management, especially in the beginning. It's easy to lose track of what's happening. You spend a bit too much time with your dough and your toppings or your guests. And then you come back to the oven to find that the temperature's down and the fire needs some TLC. It does take a bit of time to get to know the process and learn to troubleshoot things. There's actually 3 issues that I've had, and I want to go over them real quick because I think they are things that a lot of people turn into. One is that airflow is key. If you are not happy with the fire and you've already checked that the chimney vent is open, the first thing you want to try is putting the back of the oven towards the wind, because you want the air going from the burner through the oven out the chimney. And unfortunately, I have a U-shaped patio that creates these weird vortexes and makes the wind seemingly come from all directions at once. And that has been an issue more than once with fire pits as well, but with the oven, it's more important because you really need that direction. Some people use a small fan to blow wind into the back of the oven, and that does seem to work, but it's not really ideal because it's just one more thing to power and to schlep around. 2 is that as you fill the hopper with pellets, the ash is supposed to fall through the grate into the tray. And honestly, that doesn't always work as it should. This is a good example. I made 5 pizzas a day before, and as you can see, hardly any of those ashes fell through, and that created problems for the airflow and makes it harder to reach the right temperatures. Some people suggest tapping the hopper or trying to poke at the ashes so they fall down, but of course you're dealing with very high temperatures, so I don't know how to feel about having to do all that just to keep the fire going strong. Thirdly, pellets are very susceptible to moisture, so they're like little sponges. You can see it if you leave some out in the rain, they swell up like crazy. And it took me a while that this can be a problem even if you store them inside in the bag. I'm guessing a lot of people store these in their basements where humidity might be a bit higher, and that can make for moist pellets and underwhelming fires. So, I realize that a lot of the things I've mentioned sound like a hassle, but I honestly really love this little oven. Let's put it this way, if I had to choose between owning the Ooni or owning a barbecue, I would choose the Ooni. And if it were stolen, I'd buy a new one. Of course, at the end of the day, you're dealing with a fire, so you're gonna have to deal with fuel management, soot, airflow, safety precautions. It's always gonna be a bit of a hassle, but it has gotten so much use this last year that I can only conclude that there is so much fun in the process and so much taste in the pizza that all that hassle is quickly forgotten. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.